Thank you. Thank you, Sam, for setting the scene, which underpins our government policy as well. I'm here to be part of the third Clean Energy Ministerial because we have two ministries responsible for energy. One is the Industry Ministry and Energy Ministry, more for the classical part, and we, the Environment Ministry, are responsible for nuclear safety, as you said, but we are also responsible for renewable energies. And in just implementing what Sam was telling as a narrative, we have set ourselves targets, as you have in the UK, to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 40% in 2020 and by 80 to 95% by 2050. But then we developed what we call a German energy concept, which is an integrated approach of climate change and energy. So we translated the transformational needs into energy policy. And therefore, we set ourselves concrete targets of where we want to be with renewable energies, for example. We had an impressive growth in the past. In 2002, we only had about 7% of renewable energy electricity generation. Now we are 20%. In 2020, we will have at least 35%, and we're aiming for 80% in 2050. So we just set ourselves intermediate targets. In 2011, we had, for the final energy consumption, 12%, so more electricity than in the overall energy balance. Transport is one of the big issues there. So by 2050, we want to reach at least 60%. But it's not just a narrative of climate change and energy policy, it's a narrative of growth, of impressive growth, of green economy growth. We've created 380,000 jobs in the renewable sector over the last years. And we have a high social acceptance of renewable energies in Germany, and we create jobs where it's normally difficult to create them, just in areas which are not the centers of industrial production. So it has a high rural development component in it as well. Last summer, we put it all together in a comprehensive set of measures, which we call Energiewende, energy transformation. And of course, renewables for us is not a marginal issue anymore. It's centerpiece of our energy policy. And therefore, issues of system integration, grid expansion, building other grids become key. And that was done in parallel with the decision to phase out nuclear energy by 2022. And as you know, post-Fukushima, we took about half, 8 out of 17 nuclear power plants off the grid. And still, to say the German grid system is stable. And some people say, oh, now you're importing nuclear power from France or Poland. That's not the case. We were a net exporter in 2010, pre-Fukushima, and we were net exporter in 2011. And renewables now contribute the second biggest share to Germany's electricity production after lignite. And our CO2 emission prices, because people that thought there might be scarcity, have plunged by 50% over the last year as well, against all predictions. So, important, we are still net exporter, and renewables come in to replace traditional energy sources. Of course, there are challenges to organize grid stabilization together with our neighbors, and I think we are building for that, and we have, let's say, taken emergent measures of new laws which provide for giving legal certainty for rebuilding and the grid. Just two last remarks on photovoltaics. It was always considered to be a very pricey option of renewable energies. That has changed over the last 2 years. Prices have fallen by 50%, and we have a huge wave of installation of PV. In 2010, we installed 7.4 gigawatt of PV, and in 2011 it was 7.5 gigawatt. And what was the reason for doing that? There was two things. We guarantee a certain price over 20 years, and secondly, we give priority access for renewables into the grid. So, giving priority access means that you build your energy system around renewable energies, and that's possible, and it will be cost competitive in all forms in a few years only. Just to give you an example, for large field installations, from now on, it will be only 13.5 euro cents per kilowatt hour, which is, let's say, which compared to 45 cents some years ago. So it's just a rapid decline. And the German consumer, in the end price, pays around 25 euro cents per kilowatt hour. So you have grid parity at the consumer's end already. Last point, we are here at SEM, Germany together with Denmark, and Spain leads on the CM multilateral working group on solar and wind, and we are proud to contribute to the success of this most important meeting here in London. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that.